Well, welcome to this half hour of our Talk to the Experts, brought to you by Trusted Saskatoon, Trustedsaskatoon.com. And, of course, we're just celebrating our one-year anniversary here. I've got Sarah Wheelwright, the brains behind Trustedsaskatoon.com, who brought me an anniversary present. I feel so special.
Well, you've done a great job of making us all sound fantastic.
Well, you brought a bottle of booze, so you're okay in my books.
I know you, Brent. And I got chocolate for Penny.
Well, isn't that sweet? So now when I say 1 year, it's 1 year that we've been doing our Trustedsaskatoon.com Talk to the Experts, but this great company that you put together, all your idea. And for people that aren't aware of what Trusted Saskatoon is about yet, for goodness sakes, hard to believe there's people out there, a real quick rundown on what Trusted Saskatoon is.
Today's an interesting day. We've had 110,000 visits to the site from over 81,000 people. That's what happened today, and I was very proud of that. So more people than last year know who we are, and I thank this show for that as well, to explain, because we're not just your standard directory. The companies that are part of Trusted, the partners, have gone through a strict application checking process. We spoke to many of their clients. We, I guess, police them on an ongoing basis, which means they're just held accountable by us, which takes a business with integrity to do that. We have a mystery shopper program, and every year they requalify, and they truly are the experts in their industry, and we're proud to endorse them and to partner with them.
And 40 plus categories?
40 plus categories, plus we have banner advertisers. So Dee Dee here from D&D Travel is a banner advertiser, and she's gone through exactly the same process that any other business on the site has. Dee Dee came to us well recommended, and it's one of those things that I know I'm so busy that I've had Dee Dee book a trip for us recently to go to Vegas, and it was so nice just to send her the information, and she does all the running around. It was great.
You know, that's such a neat thing, isn't it? I think nowadays in this age we live in when it comes to travel, everybody thinks they're an expert and they can go online, and yeah, you can, but I'm with you. Like, it's just so easy. Just pick up the phone or send an email to somebody like Dee Dee and say, take care of this for me.
Yeah, and she finds all the deals, and she finds all the special things, so that's great. We then have Nicola here from PickNics, and if you haven't tried Nicola's food, then believe me, you are missing out. The cakes are wonderful. The catering is stunning. I mean, whenever we've had Nicola cater events, the ongoing feedback has been fantastic.
Yep.
And we also have Milton in here from Imagery, and he is truly a master photographer. He's one of the most highly qualified photographers in the province, if not the most highly qualified.
And the best dressed.
And always. And he truly is a pro, and he's a wonderful addition to the directory. We're proud to partner with all of these businesses.
Well, and what we do each and every time we get together with a Trustedsaskatoon.com expert show is we tend to follow a theme, and this weekend our theme is wedding and events. And as you mentioned, our guests, your business partners, people who are part of Trustedsaskatoon.com joining us today. We've got Nicola here from PickNics, and I was just pulling up this photograph off my phone here, and that's got to be about 2 years ago, I think.
Correct,
right?
Yeah.
And that was a cake done up as a can of paint and a paint tray and a roller. And I remember that was for Eastside Paint and Wallpaper here in Saskatoon. And my gosh, I remember seeing that in their showroom. And people cried when we finally cut into that cake. They said, no, don't destroy it. It's a work of art. You've really become known for these amazing cakes, Nicola.
We do have a lot of fun in our pastry shop. We get some pretty wild requests coming our way. So we really have a lot of fun challenging our different techniques and talents.
And it's Nicola.
Correct.
Nicola.
Yes.
Okay. And you are the owner of PickNics.
I
am. We've got a bunch of questions that people have submitted through the Trusted Saskatoon Facebook page. Of course, they're all, besides hoping to get the answer to their question, they're all each hoping that they're going to win our grand prize package that we give away at the end of each show, and we'll have Sarah tell us about that at the end of the program today. But we're ready to go with some of your questions. You set?
Absolutely.
Tinella Jade Tatusas submitted this question. She says, are your services for catering available for out-of-town weddings?
And that's a great question. There's a lot of big events going on in smaller cities around the province that they don't have caterers that can handle large groups, and we certainly can. We are comfortable catering large wedding events for up to 2.5 hour radius outside of the city. So, for instance, coming up in the fall, we're doing a wedding out in Waskesiu.
Oh, yeah.
Later on in the summer, we're out at Quill Lake, and we're doing events that are up to 200, 250 people. We're fully equipped to handle hot holding our food for that distance. We've got all the dish rentals involved. We can drive it out. We can run the event. We can clean it up, and we can walk away with it completely.
Good for you. So, within 2.5 hours, Saskatoon.
Absolutely.
Good to know. Joanne is asking here, what kind of foods would you do for an outdoor ranch-style wedding?
So certainly the thing that comes to mind would be a really great barbecue. We're coming out. We've got big barbecues we can set up whether it's in a family's acreage, in a big backyard, any sort of a venue that really lends itself well to this. We've got, like I said, barbecues. We come out. We're going to cook your different items fresh. We've got a really wide variety of menu options that do suit the barbecue well as lots of wonderful fresh gourmet salads and garlic toast, corn on the cob, just things to kind of really round it out. Yeah.
Do you bring the meat, or does the person hiring you supply the meat?
We generally try to do everything all ourselves. The reason for that is it's just the easiest for the client. Like I said, even dish rentals. Of course, we talked about cakes, and I mean, wedding cakes is a really a nice thing that we also offer just as a sort of a specialty side product to what we do. We've
got Nicola, the owner of PickNics, on this segment of our Talk to the Experts for Trustedsaskatoon.com, and questions that people have submitted through the Trusted Saskatoon Facebook page. Brandy Parker is saying, a wedding reception, is it still okay to do a large meal, or is something lighter like finger foods more appropriate, and can both be done in a balanced manner to stay on budget?
That's a great question. And the most important thing is to be upfront about your budget when you're talking to your caterer. If you've got $20 ahead and you want to do both, a meal and an appetizer or an hors d'oeuvre of some form, we need to know that so we know what types of entree options that we can offer for you, because it's going to be a bit more of an entry-level pricing for that. And then in regards to some appetizers, just some light things just to welcome your guests in maybe during your cocktail hour. And you want to keep those options light because you don't want them filling up too much before supper time. So we want to do lighter things like sushi and smoked salmon stuffed cucumber rounds and things that aren't going to fill you up, say, as much as, say, a slider or a chicken skewer.
I can see why PickNics is so popular. Tremendous customer service, it sounds like. One more question for you, and then we're going to move on. This comes from Vanessa. She says, how do I know what size of cake do I need? If Brent Laux is there, she's saying, I know I'll need a giant one. But how do I know I'm not getting too little or too much cake? And I think that's a great question, too, because, even when I look at that paint can cake, how do you determine how much you need per person?
Absolutely. So on our website, we've actually got a really great, easy-to-use chart, which is based on your group size. So
cool.
A very important question, first off, is this going to be your main dessert? If it's not, you'll need considerably less, but not so much so less that it throws off the scale of your wedding. If you've got 300 people coming and your cake isn't your main dessert, you still want that cake to be in scale to your group size. So you still want at least 3 or 4 tiers, but we can just scale back the actual size of each tier. So you still want it to look the part, to match the size of your group, and yet not to have too much cake. So
a cake calculator is on your website.
There is.
What's your website?
So it's actually the same as our phone number, which is 34fresh. So 34fresh.com.
Oh, cool. 34fresh.com is where you'll find the cake calculator for PickNics. And again, all part of our Trusted Saskatoon wedding and event show on this weekend's experts, Trustedsaskatoon.com. Thanks for your time, Nicola. Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
And now, on the theme of wedding and events, you think about having the big day and the family get together and the ceremony and the wonderful reception, and then everything's all said and done, and you move on then to where are we going on the honeymoon? And that's where we get Dee Dee in from D&D Travel. Hi, Dee Dee.
Hi, Brent.
Dee Dee, favorite place for a destination wedding. This is from Jennifer Christensen. What would you recommend there?
Well, I like just about anywhere.
Yeah, me too.
But as a travel agent, I typically recommend something that is applicable to their budget, their wishes, their group, something that suits them. You
see a lot of people. I know I have friends. I saw Cuba, Jamaica, the Caribbean seems to be popular places these days. Is it easy to do these weddings in these foreign countries?
Yeah, anywhere there's a direct charter destination tends to be a lot easier than trying to go outside of that area.
Dee Dee's our travel expert today, D&D Travel. You'll find her office over in Stonebridge here in Saskatoon. Have you got a website too, Dee Dee?
I do. It's www.dtravel.ca.
dtravel.ca. And, of course, you can also find more about D&D Travel when you get to Trustedsaskatoon.com. Here's another one we've got from Courtney Mang. Says, how early do I need to book for a destination wedding?
Well, I would say as soon as possible. Cruises can be booked up to about 3 years ahead. Land vacations you can book anywhere from two and up, 2 to 1 year ahead. But as soon as you can is best.
Do you take care of, as the travel agent, if I say, I want to do a destination wedding in Mexico, Jamaica, wherever, Do you take care of all the paperwork? Like, these are regular weddings, are they not?
No, what happens is once they decide on their destination and their resort, then we put them in touch with the wedding coordinator, and then they deal directly with them as to the paperwork and everything that's required.
And, of course, these resorts, this is nothing to them. There's
hundreds
and hundreds of these weddings
yeah.
each and every year. Christine's got a question for you, and this is a little broader other than wedding. She says, when having any kind of an event, what are some of the key factors into making it a memorable experience for everyone? And I guess she's talking about an event somewhere, that they've traveled to.
Well, I would say the most important thing is communication between the wedding couple and the agent and the wedding coordinator, just so that everybody knows what everybody wants and how everything's going to work.
We've got another one in here. This question comes from Joanne. Says, what would you suggest? What's your personal thoughts on this one, maybe, for a romantic, private honeymoon? Any favorites for you?
Personally, my favorites are the Sandals Resorts in Jamaica and the Secrets Resorts in Mexico. They're very couples orientated and very high end, and they really cater to couples.
We're back in just a couple of minutes with more of our wedding and event show for Trustedsaskatoon.com. I've got a couple of more questions for Dee Dee from D&D Travel. We've also got Milt Taylor from Imagery with all your photography questions on the way as our program continues in 2 minutes on News Talk Radio. Welcome back to our Talk to the Experts for Trustedsaskatoon.com. Continuing, I've got one more question here for Dee Dee from D&D Travel on our wedding and event show. This is kind of a novel one. Kristen wants to know, is it possible to register at a travel agency to get help with our honeymoon?
Oh, definitely.
Well, that's kind of a novel idea. I've never thought of that, but why not?
Yeah, we have that on our website. It's the bridal registry, and you just have to sign up, and then we can send out cards to their guests, and they can, give us money for their honeymoon. Yeah.
Well, when I hear it now, that seems like a pretty smart idea because, you get invited to a wedding, and if you're not sure maybe what they want to have as far as a gift, so in a lot of these cases, then I can donate to their honeymoon expense.
Exactly.
What a brilliant idea.
Great idea.
And that's at your website. You can do that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Dee Dee, again, for all your travel needs, D&D Travel, and they are, of course, part of Trusted Saskatoon, Trustedsaskatoon.com. Nice meeting you today, Dee Dee.
Thanks a lot.
And up next, we've got that well-known Saskatoon photographer, Milt Taylor from Imagery Photography. And Milt, we've got a whole bunch of questions that have been submitted just for you on the Trustedsaskatoon.com Facebook page.
I really appreciate it. There's some really good questions here, and I know that I can only answer 5 here, and we'll do our best, but we're going to answer them all, and we're going to put them on Trusted's website, so you can get the answers there.
Trustedsaskatoon.com, and to see Milt's website, imageryphoto.ca, imageryphoto.ca, in his studio right downtown, right by Milt's Garden, that big, beautiful community garden on 3rd Avenue North. Chantel Goslin says, what are the most important qualities or things to look for in a photographer for your wedding?
Well, I think, Chantel, great question. I think that really what I strive to do is trying to find the fit between the bride and the groom and the photographer, because that's really important. You should be very comfortable with your photographer, that they're going to be able to do what you want them to do, and you should also be very comfortable. The photographer should be comfortable with you as well, so they get you what you want. That's really imperative. It's a hand and glove thing. I think it should fit really good, and you should feel comfortable.
Have you ever turned down a job because you didn't feel the fit was there?
Yes, I have.
That's commendable.
Thank you. Maybe it comes with the gray hair, but I tell you, if it's not going to be fun and not going to get what they want, then you get what you want, because at the end of the day, the bride and groom have to be happy, and that's the bottom line.
Lisa wants to know, what is the number one thing a client needs to prepare for the wedding photographer on the big day?
Well, obviously, what's important is that we know what they want and the style and everything else. So if they have a kind of a list of photographs that they would like to do, and a lot of them don't because they don't get married very often, and that's a really good thing. But we help them along in that way. We kind of a little cheat sheet, I call it. Sure. And the idea behind it is not so much to check it off and say here it is, but to talk about it with your fiance and get things written down and write down the special things that you want.
Dale's got a great 2 questions here, a 2-part question. First off, how do you help the wedding party decide on locations for taking pictures? And then he says, do you have any tips on handling the monster moms that think the wedding is really all about them and not the couple?
Again, these are
a wedding counselor now.
I think so. I think that's your wife's business, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry, Penny.
So, location pictures.
Well, first of all, again, if you go back to the primary function, the bride and groom have to be happy with their photographs. So obviously we have inclement weather. We have a choice. And in my case, that's fortunate. I have a studio. We can certainly go there. but they may not want the confines of a studio. They may want something a little more casual for indoors. So we can work at one of the buildings at the university. As far as windy day and you have spots to pick out, you know, again, I always talk to the bride and groom. It's a feely thing that you work on it together and try and get what you want. A lot of cases, they leave it up to me to make the final decision, but I certainly get their input.
Okay, and you want any comment on the Monster Moms
aspect?
Well,
if the mom is there and she's being incredibly strong-willed, I always say the number of things. That first of all, we've had our weddings, you and I, haven't we? And it's not our turn; it's somebody else's. And I understand that you're paying for this, and we'll certainly do our best to get you what you want. But the bride and groom are my client, and I have to get them what they want first because it's their wedding.
Kenzie's got an interesting question. I've never thought about this. What do you think about retouching bridal photos beyond color correction? She wants to know, have you had requests to Photoshop people to be thinner?
Oh, yeah. True story. 3 sisters in one family picture. The first one says, don't touch it. That's who I am. Don't do a thing to it. The next sister says, give it a little bit. That's what we call our classic finish. We're just doing, little things here and there, eyebrows and underlines and, double chins and stuff like that. And then the third one says, give me the full Hollywood. I want everything. Give me everything you got. And
can you do all 3 in a photo?
Yes.
To their own like?
Yeah. Well, the one that doesn't want anything doesn't get anything, and down the line. What's really important is that you address that ahead of time. Yeah, again, the bride and groom are the ones in control of this. They tell me what they want. We can make suggestions. If we have to do anything that's fairly radical, they always have to approve what we've retouched, because we're not going to put it in the book or the album unless they've seen it and they're happy with it.
Which leads us to our next and final question from Courtney Mang. She touches on how many pictures you typically take, and we were talking about that. But she says, do the bride and groom, do they have the ability to give suggestions, I guess, in the moment?
As again, going back to the cheat sheet, when the first people come talk to me, we call it a look-see, and we talk about in generalities what we can do and give them some ideas of prices and so on and so forth. And then they go with the sheet, and then they go from there. So let's say we have a lot of extra time, like an extra hour, which they never do. But if they do, and they want me to shoot more, I'll shoot more. I don't ask for another hour's time. It's not how I work. Making them happy. So there'll be more, and if there's more, then they need to make a bigger album. So I guess I get paid that way. But I don't look at it as pay. I look at it as making sure they're happy.
Milt, it's a pleasure seeing you again. It's been a while. All the best.
Thanks, Brent, and I really enjoy your show.
You bet. Thank you. Milt Taylor, the owner of Imagery Photography here in town. His website, imageryphoto.ca, but one of our Trusted Saskatoon partners in on this weekend's wedding and event show. And again, we encourage you to submit questions like these people have done to Milt. Go to the Trustedsaskatoon.com Facebook page. You could be on our next program. Well, a great discussion on our program for Trustedsaskatoon.com this weekend. Wedding and events, our theme, and we want to thank our guests as well. Nicola from PickNics. We had Dee in from D&D Travel. And we just finished up with Milt Taylor from Imagery Photography, some of the key areas of planning a great wedding. And we want to thank everybody who submitted all these questions. Sarah from Trustedsaskatoon.com. A lot of people listening may be saying, well, I didn't hear my question. There's a lot of these get submitted at Facebook, your Facebook page for Trustedsaskatoon.com. Are you able to answer them all?
Yes. In fact, these wonderful experts that we have in here have a little bit of a duty, and what we ask them to do is to take the time to answer all the questions, as much as they can, with a view to the fact that if you want to know more, really, you should get in contact with them. We then post them as tips in our tip library, and then we share them on Facebook. So if you follow us on Facebook, you'll see them come up there. Or if you just go to our tip library and look under either travel or catering or photography, and you'll find them there in the next week or so.
And out of all those people who submitted questions, we have selected one of those people, Tanella Jade Tutusas, who submitted some very, very creative questions. Tanella, and you are our prize winner this week. And what is it we're going to give her?
Oh, she has a lovely prize package of catering gift certificate from Nicola at PickNics, which is the candlelit dinner in a box. There's a wonderful gift basket from D&D Travel, and we also have some engagement portrait pictures with an image from Milton.
Good deal. A nice haul for Tanella, and thanks to everybody who submitted their questions. We'll be doing this again in August, having another program with Trustedsaskatoon.com. Get in on it. Go to their Facebook page, Trusted Saskatoon. Submit your question, and you could be our next big winner. Sarah, all the best. Have a great summer, and we'll talk to you in August.
Thank you very much.
And you've been listening to Talk to the Experts for Trustedsaskatoon.com on News Talk Radio.